All right, so we're really diving deep today into something that I think a lot of people are going to find fascinating.
Mm-hmm.
Um, you're trying to get people more into your online courses, right?
For sure.
You want to really supercharge those courses.
Absolutely.
So we're taking a page right out of the playbook of those masters of engagement, those app developers and game developers.
Right.
And the secret weapon, they use the dopamine button.
Yeah.
So we're looking at Marissa Murgatroyd and her take on this.
What's so fascinating about this whole dopamine button idea, and it's really our brain's reward system, right?
Right.
It's how can we take that and make a traditional online course go from like, ooh, homework, to
Right.
like, oh, what's next? I got to see what's next.
Totally, because I got to say, her guide, the dopamine button, it was practically glowing on my desk. I was so excited to dig into it.
Yeah.
And the minute I dove in, I was like, oh my gosh, so many online courses, and mine included, are basically hitting the boring button,
Oh, yeah.
the Netflix button, the overwhelm button.
It's so true.
No wonder those dropout rates are so high.
It's so true. Those buttons are way too easy to hit.
Yeah.
Then you think about it. Have you ever abandoned a game after you leveled up?
No, never.
No, and that's because they've got it figured out, right? Those game designers, whether it's Pokemon Go, those social media feeds, they know what they're doing.
Totally, like those little pings of dopamine every time we,
Yeah.
catch a Pokemon or get like on our latest post.
Exactly.
That's the key, right?
Yes.
But how do we translate that to something like, I don't know, learning about ancient history or mastering the art of sourdough bread baking?
Well, that's where she brings in this term called experience products.
Okay.
And it's this idea that we need to start treating online courses not just as information dumps, but actual experiences
Okay.
that trigger those dopamine hits.
Experience products. I like the sound of that.
Right.
It feels so much more active and engaging than just passively absorbing information.
For sure.
But what does that actually look like in practice?
So she breaks it down into 3 main dopamine buttons that we can incorporate.
Okay.
The first one being constant wins.
Constant wins.
Yes, and this is all about celebrating those small victories along the way.
So not just waiting for the big graduation ceremony at the end,
Exactly.
but like sprinkling in celebrations for every milestone reached.
Yeah, and it doesn't even have to be anything crazy elaborate.
Okay.
We're thinking points badges, maybe even a personalized message from the instructor,
Right.
just acknowledging their progress, because those small wins, they create a sense of accomplishment,
They do.
and that keeps students coming back for more.
Okay. So no more slogging through hours of content without any sense of progress.
Yeah.
We got to make sure those dopamine hits are coming in regularly.
Yeah.
It's like those progress bars you see in video games, right?
Yes, exactly.
They give you that visual reminder of how far you've come and how much closer you are to that finish line.
And the beauty about that, too, is not only does it keep students motivated, but it actually rewires their brains to associate learning with pleasure.
Wow.
So they start craving that dopamine hit.
Interesting.
So that makes them even more likely to stick with the course and achieve their goals.
This is making me rethink my entire approach to online courses.
Right.
And you know what else? This constant wins idea,
Yeah.
it's not just for students. I'm thinking about how I can apply this to my own to-do list.
Absolutely.
Maybe I need to start celebrating finishing a report or finally tackling that inbox zero.
I love that. And you know what? She actually talks about that in the book.
Does she really?
Yeah, she emphasizes how these principles, they can be applied beyond online courses. Like, they can be powerful for personal growth, achieving any goal, really.
Okay, mind blown. But before we get too carried away with our dopamine-fueled to-do lists,
Right.
let's stick with the online courses for now.
Okay.
We've covered constant wins.
Yeah.
What's the next dopamine button on Murgatroyd's list?
So the next one is particularly interesting.
Okay.
It's called the future self button.
Future self.
Oh.
Okay, this sounds intriguing.
Right?
Do I need to break out my meditation cushion and some incense for this one?
No incense required.
Okay.
It's more about helping students vividly imagine the transformation they'll experience by completing the course.
Okay.
So we're talking about painting a picture so clear
Right.
that they can practically taste the success.
So instead of just saying, learn to code,
Yeah.
you'd paint a picture of them building their dream website.
Yeah.
Maybe even launching their tech startup.
Exactly. And it's not even just about the end goal.
Okay.
She stresses the importance of using language that engages all 5 senses.
Oh, wow.
So describe the feeling of accomplishment, the satisfaction of solving a complex problem, even the smell of fresh coffee as they work on their latest project.
Wow. So it's about creating this immersive experience that goes beyond just acquiring information.
Yes.
It's about tapping into their aspirations, their desires, their vision of a better future.
Precisely. And when you can do that, when you can help them connect with that vision on an emotional level, you tap into a powerful motivator.
It's like that saying, people don't buy what you do, they buy why you do it.
Yes.
But in this case, it's more like people don't learn what you teach, they learn who they aspire to become.
That's a great way to put it. And you know what? This future self concept is something that successful entrepreneurs and athletes have been using for years.
Yeah.
Yeah, they call it visualization or creating a vision board.
Right.
But it's all about harnessing the power of the mind to achieve your goals.
This is incredible. I'm already feeling inspired to revamp my online course descriptions with a little more future self magic.
Yeah.
But hold on, we've still got one more dopamine button to uncover.
Right.
Right, what's next on Murgatroyd's list?
So this third dopamine button, it's all about building momentum.
Oh, okay.
Murgatroyd calls it unstoppable momentum.
Unstoppable momentum.
And it's about structuring your course in a way that keeps students moving forward with this growing sense of excitement.
It's like that feeling you get when you're on a roll with a project and you just can't wait to tackle the next step.
Mm-hmm.
How do we bottle that feeling and inject it into our online courses?
Yeah, it's all about creating a series of small wins
Okay.
that build on each other, starting with those quick, achievable tasks that give students a sense of accomplishment early on.
So it's like those games where you start with a simple level,
Yeah.
master the basic moves, and then bam, you're on to bigger challenges, unlocking new skills.
Exactly. Each win fuels the desire for the next, and before you know it, they're hooked.
Right.
But it's not just about the order of the content. It's
Yeah.
also about how you frame those challenges.
Okay, so instead of saying write a 5-page essay, you might say craft a compelling story in 500 words.
Yes.
It's still challenging, but it feels more achievable and maybe even a little bit exciting.
Now you're getting it. And don't forget to sprinkle in those constant wins,
Right.
reminders of their future selves along the way.
Yeah.
This creates that really powerful feedback loop that keeps them engaged and motivated.
This is making me realize that crafting an engaging online course is a bit like composing a symphony or maybe even designing a roller coaster.
Ooh, I like that.
You need those highs and lows, moments of excitement and anticipation, all building towards a satisfying conclusion.
I love that analogy. And speaking of satisfying conclusions, Murgatroyd includes some pretty compelling case studies in her guide.
Okay.
These stories of real-life course creators who have successfully used these dopamine button principles are incredibly inspiring, and they offer some practical takeaways we can all learn from.
Okay, so let's dive into those case studies because I'm all about seeing how this actually plays out in the real world.
Okay.
The first one that caught my eye was Josh Turner. He used these principles to transform his LinkedIn marketing course, right?
He did. And what's interesting about his story is that he was already successful.
Okay.
He had a popular course, but he was still losing a significant chunk of his revenue to refunds.
Really?
Yeah, people were signing up with good intentions, but then life would happen, they'd get distracted, and they'd never finish the course.
Which is something I think a lot of course creators can relate to.
Totally.
We put our hearts and souls into creating
Yeah.
this amazing content, but then people don't engage with it.
Yeah.
It's heartbreaking. So how did Turner use the dopamine button to tackle this challenge?
So one of the key things he did was implement a points system,
Okay.
but not just any point system. He strategically awarded points for actions that not only indicated progress, but also deepened engagement.
Okay.
Students earned points for completing modules, participating in discussions, leaving thoughtful comments, basically for actively engaging with the material and with each other.
So it wasn't just about rewarding them for hitting play on a video. It was about encouraging them to really dive in and participate. I love that. Did he notice a difference?
The results were undeniable. He saw a whopping 63.5% reduction in refund rates.
Wow.
That means more students were sticking with the course, completing the material, and getting results.
That's huge. And talk about dopamine rush for both Turner and his students.
Oh.
But he didn't stop there, did he? He also tapped into the power of referrals.
He did. He cleverly linked his point system to a referral program.
Okay.
Rewarding students for spreading the word about his course, this not only boosted his sales, generating over $500,000 in referral revenue, but it also created a sense of community around his course.
Okay, now that's what I call a win-win.
Exactly.
It's like he created this self-perpetuating cycle of engagement, motivation, and growth, all fueled by those strategically placed dopamine buttons.
Precisely. And what's even more impressive is that he achieved all of this without compromising the quality or integrity of his content.
Wow.
He simply found a way to make it more engaging and rewarding for his students.
I love that it shows that you don't have to choose between creating valuable content and creating an engaging experience. You can have both.
Yes, you can.
But Turner's story is just one example. What about other niches? Let's talk about Jennifer Holbis. She used the dopamine button to overcome a major personal challenge while building her online course business, right?
She did. Jennifer is a certified Lean Six Sigma Master Black Belt, and she had a wealth of knowledge to share, but there was one major obstacle standing in her way. She suffered from severe social anxiety.
Wow, that's a tough one, especially when you're trying to put yourself out there and build an online presence. So how did she overcome that challenge?
This is where Murgatroyd's emphasis on designing experience products really comes into play.
Okay.
Jennifer realized that she didn't have to fit the mold of the stereotypical charismatic online instructor.
Right.
She could leverage her strengths, her deep knowledge, and her meticulous approach to creating content and design an engaging learning experience that played to those strengths.
So instead of forcing herself to be someone she wasn't, she embraced her unique qualities and built her course around them. I love that.
But how does she handle the live interactions, the webinars, the Q&A sessions?
She got creative. She hired trainers to handle those aspects of the course, focusing her energy on what she did best, crafting the curriculum and creating the core content.
That's brilliant. It just goes to show that there's no one-size-fits-all approach to creating a successful online course.
Right. It's all about finding what works for you, your audience, and your unique strengths.
Exactly. And the results speak for themselves. Jennifer was able to overcome her social anxiety and build a thriving online business, generating over $250,000 in just 6 months.
That's incredible. It's proof that you don't have to let your fears hold you back from achieving your goals.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's about finding creative workarounds and building a team that supports your vision. But before we get too caught up in the celebration, we have another case study to unpack this time, involving a couple who took their in-person health program online. Let's talk about Drs. Arjun and Shobha Rayapudi and their journey with Gift of Health.
So Drs. Arjun and Shobha Rayapudi, they had this really successful in-person program called Gift of Health.
Okay.
And they were sharing their knowledge of like healthy eating and just like, positive lifestyle choices.
Right.
But they wanted to take it online. They wanted to reach a wider audience.
That's good.
How do you translate those hands-on cooking demonstrations and that in-person energy into an engaging digital format?
Yeah, that's a challenge a lot of people face. Taking something that works so well in person and making it work just as well online.
Mm-hmm.
Did they manage to capture that same spark?
They did. And they actually give a lot of credit to this experience product framework.
Okay.
Because they knew they had to create those constant wins and that feeling of unstoppable momentum
Right.
to keep students hooked.
So how'd they do it? What did they mail out, like virtual spice racks?
I know, right? Maybe someday. But no, they really focused on making the online experience just as interactive and dynamic as their live events.
Okay.
They broke the course down into these like really digestible bite-sized modules,
Okay.
each with its own set of achievable goals.
So instead of overwhelming students with a mountain of information, they created a clear path with those achievable milestones along the way.
Exactly. And they didn't just talk about healthy eating, they showed it.
Okay. How?
They used high-quality videos, downloadable recipe guides. They even had interactive quizzes
Oh, nice.
to really reinforce the learning.
It sounds like they really went above and beyond to make the online experience just as engaging, if not more so, than their in-person program.
They did, and the proof is in the pudding, as they say.
Right.
Their first online launch generated over $24,000 in sales.
Wow. That's incredible. It just goes to show that with a little creativity and a deep understanding of your audience's needs, you can translate any topic, even something as hands-on as healthy cooking, into a successful online course.
Absolutely. And these are just a few examples from her guide.
Right.
There are so many ways to apply these principles.
It's really got me thinking the whole dopamine button concept. It's not just for online courses, is it?
No.
It's about understanding what motivates people, what keeps them engaged,
Yes.
and ultimately what helps them achieve their goals in any area of life, really.
Exactly.
It's about how those constant wins could apply to your fitness routine,
Absolutely.
your creative pursuits, even your relationships,
100%.
or how tapping into the power of your future self could help you visualize and achieve your wildest dreams.
I love that.
It's powerful stuff.
Yeah, it really is. It's like understanding how our brains are wired
Right.
and using that knowledge to design experiences that are engaging, motivating, and ultimately more fulfilling.
This has been an incredible deep dive. We've gone from decoding the secrets of app developers to unlocking the power of the dopamine button in online courses and beyond.
We really have, and we've explored those 3 core buttons, how they can not only transform our courses, but our entire approach to life.
It's like we've been handed the keys to the engagement kingdom.
I love that.
So if you're feeling inspired to inject a little dopamine button magic into your online courses and your life,
Please do.
we encourage you to check out her book, The Dopamine Button. Experiment with these principles and see what you can create. Because when you tap into that power of the brain's reward system, the possibilities really are limitless.
They are.
And on that note, we'll leave you with this. What area of your life could benefit from a little dopamine button boost? Until next time, keep those dopamine levels high and those goals in sight.